And it looks like it should be there. Okay, the transcribe is there. Okay, the recording's there. So, Chris Wagner, I will let you introduce yourself and throw it on to you.
Awesome. Oh, actually, I'm sharing too early here. Uh, Thank you guys so much for joining me today. My name is Chris Wagner. I have got a ton of stuff that I'm going to be getting into. So buckle up and get ready. We've got a ton of stuff that we're going to be going over. Let's head over to my laptop and let's just do it. Why am I even talking about it? All right. Okay. So the Data Gods Guide to report design. Oh, where's my little button? Oh, I have so much to cover with you guys. All right. First big thing, let's just get right into this. It's really important that you establish goals before you do any reporting. Okay. So before you go out and do anything out there, make sure you understand what the business goals are for the report that you're designing. For the purposes of this report design exercise, I'm taking some real world requirements that I received at one point in time, and I'm going to be building those out. So these were what their executives were demanding. Number one, they wanted to look incredible, right? This is for executives as well as users, but they wanted this to be the premier dashboard and report that they were using to drive their KPIs and their goals for their organization. This was going to go to their all of the CEO, CFO, CIO, like the whole C-suite, all the executive directors, all that stuff. So it had to look incredible, but it also had to be functional. Okay. So that meant they needed it to not just convey information, but they needed it to actually help drive the company's goals, drive what they're trying to accomplish inside their business. But they also wanted this to, at the same time, I know there's a lot, right? Advance the company's ability to take on and start to work with more analytics and more capabilities that were available inside the service, right? They know that they're just using primarily bar charts and some KPIs. They wanted to start building environments that allow for people to gain insights around their data so that they could start to drive changes in behavior. Okay. With all that said, yeah, what's the number one thing that everyone asks for? How do I export it to Excel? They still that had to be a component of it, right? So great looking, drive insights, all of these new capabilities still had to export to Excel. Oh, and last but not least, it has to be all on one page. Can't be on multiple pages, has to be all inside of one page, and it has to look good for big screen use, right? So they were going to plan to use it on a day-to-day basis, but they wanted to have this on displays um, that were out and available inside the organization, and they were, uh, you know, big, long, tall displays, not wide monitors. Okay, so those were the goals that we had to accomplish in order to build this out. Okay, so but who the heck am I? We kind of talked about this. My name is Chris Wagner. I'm a director of data solutions at Baker Tilly. I am the founder of Kratos BI, home of the data gods. If you joined early, you found out that created Kratos BI because someone called me a data god. I'm like, no, there's a whole bunch of other people who are data gods, and I thought, I know, I'll create a blog about data gods. And so that led me to try and get a domain. There was no data gods was already a thing. So I went, okay, well, what's a Greek god of power? Oh, Kratos is a Greek god of power. Awesome. Kratos BI. I am also a Microsoft Data Platform MVP 3 times, hopefully 4. I have a couple of different awards out there of significant note that I kind of enjoy. Analytics Rebel, Future Edge 50 award winner. Both of those I got for incorporating natural language generation inside of reports because natural language is a whole another presentation, but I absolutely love it. Make sure you understand what it is so that you can find opportunities to use it yourself. Do follow me on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and Twitter. I don't know where my Twitter icon is, but you can find me on all of those places. Okay. Now, This session is for you. It's not for me. I know all of this stuff because I'm the one presenting it. So please, if you have questions, raise your hand. Ask the question in the chat. Q colon always helps bring those things to light. But I really do want to answer your questions as to like what questions you might have about this. Okay, so let's just get going. Okay, remember goals. Looks great. Drive insights. Still allow for export. One page. Big screen use. Okay, whole bunch of stuff on there. Okay, now in order to do this, I wanted to make sure that we had an amazing palette for us to work from, right? So if you've done any art courses, or if you haven't, or you've done woodworking, or you've even just cleaned your house, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you clean everything, all the clutter away, and you start with a fresh canvas, and you start with a palette that is going to work for you. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, so I give you a little tease, is we're going to be turning this blank Power BI file right that we have right here into. Oh, now why you gotta be like that? Into this Power BI report that I'm highlighting and I'm showcasing here, and we're going to do that all in the next hour. And we're going to show you how we do that. Okay, so where do we start in order to go from this to this? All right. Well, fortunately, it's very easy. Now, the first thing you should really do if you're trying to do this is you should start with your data model. Make sure you've got your data model locked down and in place before you even begin the design. Your data is going to be the most important part of the work that you need to have. Is you need to have a good star schema. All these things in place are a prerequisite to beginning. Okay, so make sure you have that in place first. That's why I'm starting with a star schema, and I know this one fairly well, so I'm going to get up and running. Okay. The next thing, though, is that I want to make sure that I have a canvas that I can work on. Okay. So I want a background that pops and is visually attractive. I want colors that are appealing and that they naturally fit together, and it's not this disjointed color palette that we're looking at. And this is where we turn to nature for this. Okay, this is where I'm going to head over to pixels.com, and I'm going to type in night sky. If you're not familiar with pixels.com, this is a great place for free digital artwork. It's very high res. Like the licenses are I mean, some artists ask you to like reference them and stuff, others don't. But there is just a huge treasure trove of resources out here. What I'm looking for in order to create my palette, though, is I want to make sure that I've got a beautiful picture with lots of colors to be able to draw natural colors from, and I want to make sure that I've got a broad area or a big area that I can put my reports and analytics on top of that won't have anything that won't have anything in the background that will kind of mess me up. Okay. Um, oh, I forgot the other requirement. Yeah, it has to be dark mode, right? So it has to be a dark. It can't be bright and light. It has to be something dark and at night. So that's why I'm choosing the night sky, right? So in order to get that big canvas, uh, I had started to look out for a long time, and then I found images like this, where I've got this like horizon line, and I've got the picture above, and I've got the sea below, and I thought, oh, how great! I could use something along these lines to create a top and a bottom, and then use the colors that are in the picture to give me a nice palette to work from. All right, so I started to scroll through here until I found a visual or an image that was, something that I could use. Right now, some of these look kind of good. Some are close, but I'm really looking for something that could give me, aha, this. Now this looks like it's all color. Hey, where are you gonna get your palette from? I'm gonna show it for you. So I like this, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna download this, and then I'm going to open up PowerPoint. Oh, I'm gonna have to open up a new PowerPoint to show it to you. And I'm gonna have to go into a blank presentation. Oh crap! I forgot where this was again. Oh, what I want to do here it is. Inside here, I want to make sure that my palette is just the same size as what my screen is going to be. So in this case, I know that it's going to be um, 2560 by 1440. That's the resolution of the monitor. It's also the same resolution of my monitor, just in landscape mode, right? So I'm going to go under design, and I'm going to go to slide size, and I'm going to choose a custom slide size. Okay. From widescreen, I'm just going to choose portrait and maximize the size and hit maximize. And now I've got the palette that I'm going to be working on. I've got a clean space that I can work and operate with. Now, this makes it very easy for me to add in images on here and know that I'm working with the proper information. So I want to go out and I want to download. I want to add in the picture that I had put into, oopsies, PowerBI presentations. The picture that I had downloaded that from Pexels. I want to import that in. What happened? Why did it do that? Interesting. Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
not,
looks like it's two pictures.
but it's not in the preview mode. It looks fine over on the
Yeah.
thumbnail on the left. Oh, wait, there you go. Okay.
Who the heck knows what happened there? All right. Oh, all right. So here's a picture that I like. This is awesome. I'm going to use this as my base slide that I'm going to use to lay out my report. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this down, and I always like to have one slide that has the raw image on it that I can just work with. Now I'm going to zoom in to give myself a little more visibility into what I'm working with here. Now I want to go, and I'm first going to, because I want to use this area as the top and then the bottom area as my bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to crop this image. Come on now. I'm going to crop this down from the top. And I'm going to crop it from the bottom. And I this is the shoreline, but I noticed that there's this like white thing here. I don't want that. I'm going to like edit it out and pretend that that's not a thing. I'm going to close that gap here. Okay. So I've got this here. I'm going to copy and paste it because I want to see it all inside of one little view here. And in this case, I'm going to go in picture format. And you know what? I'm just going to flip it horizontally so I have, uh, you know, truly it would be the reflection I could use. But you know what? I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to I'm not going to do that. So, okay. So I've got this all together. Awesome. What I want to do though is I want my background to be the proper resolution or the exact same color as this black. So I'm going to use my text box. I'm going to hide my outline, and on my shape fill, I'm going to use an eyedropper to grab as close as I can that black to that edge. Okay. Because I want that to match up exactly to the, so it blends in perfectly. Right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this all the way to the bottom. I know you're saying to yourself, hey, Chris, why don't you just change the background color to that color? Great. That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. The reason I'm not going to do this is I want this image to be as sharp as it possibly can at this resolution, which is the full widescreen resolution. So if I did that and I hit Control A and I went to save that as an image, I would not get this background space. When you do Control A and then right click and save as picture, it's only going to give you what objects there are on the page. So if you set the background color, you wouldn't end up getting it. You just get this blank area in there. I don't want that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this. This is my main background one. I already did it once, so in case I screw it up, I can just go back to my main background. So I'm going to hit save on this. Okay, awesome, well and good. But I said I want to get colors from this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab colors from this visual. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up how I want to look at my colors. Okay, so I know if I look inside of Power BI, and always cheat, okay? Never be afraid to cheat and look things up. There's nothing wrong with that. If I go into Power BI, I want to customize my theme. I know I need 8 colors. I need some sentiment colors, divergent colors, um, and I need filter colors, how I want that to look and feel. Okay, so I'm going to be setting up to kind of get those colors and those values. All right, how I'm going to do that to make sure I get the right colors, because I am not an artist, but I respect nature. I'm going to do the following. I'm going to create. Come on now. I'm going to create a few colors that I want to have some gradation on, okay? And to ensure that I have a good gradation, I'm going to do a 25% transparency on each one so that I get shades lighter, okay? And just mathematically start to work through these things, okay? In order to do that, though, I need these to be white, and then my base slide, actually, my base color slide is going to sit on top of these. Oh, copy, paste, paste. Okay. What this allows me to do is then I can go in and I can look for some of these colors I really like. So, for example, I want to format this color. I want to fill. I'm going to grab my eyedropper and I want to find the orangest orange that I can because I think this is really beautiful, right? So I take this orange and then I'm going to apply this orange to each one of these. But then I'm going to set my transparency to 50%. And because I have a white background, I'm going to get the actual hue is going to I'm going to be able to grab what that hue is at that 25% less by actually clicking on that eyedropper. Okay. Once I have those, I'm going to go in and grab these hex codes, and I'm going to start to build out my color palette doing this. Okay. So I've already got that. I'm just going to keep repeating this pattern until I get all of the values here. Now you're saying to yourself, Chris, that sounds super exciting. Maybe we don't necessarily want to watch you copy and paste the whole time. And I say, fair enough. Okay. It's a good thing then that I did this already for you. So you don't have to watch me do every single one of these. So you could see I already did that here. So I went through and I added in all of these values in. I found my colors. I identified a range of grays so that I could have some like custom dark colors that I use for like my pop-ups and that type of a thing. And then I've got a custom color here that I wanted to have for my border on the side. Okay. So at first I established all of those things, and now I am ready to start to create my custom palette and my custom theme. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to add those into my Power BI report here. I would go in and I would just run through and I would enter these here. I know what you're saying. You're saying to yourself, Chris, literally you said we don't want to like watch you do every single one of those. And okay, fair enough. I agree. Let's not watch me do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the one that I had already done. I'm going to save this current theme out to my report design. So this is my dark theme. Right. So if you're not didn't know that you could modify a theme inside of Power BI desktop, you can then save that theme to someplace. You can save that off. And then you can go into your themes and browse for it and import it in. And now it's now added in, and I can go in and I can look if I went to customize current theme and do it. Why'd that not do it? Cancel. Very disappointed. Oh. Okay, let's do this quick. Well, you know what? We're gonna move on with that without that for just a second until I show you how we can create this first page, and then we'll cheat by swapping files to where I've already done that. Okay, just because that's how you know it's live. All right, so I have got my. Oh my! Why are you not moving? Okay, there we go. I've got my Power BI desktop here. Now, what do I need to do to um, uh, make sure that I've got my page laid out appropriately? I'm going to go into my format report page. I'm going to go to my first my canvas settings, and I'm going to change. I'm going to enter in a custom dimension here. Okay. Remember, I know what the resolution is: 25 by 1440. So my height is going to be, I'm sorry, 250, 2560 by 1440. So I'm going to do 2560 by 1440 is going to be the width of my visual. I'm going to say top of my vertical alignment. And then I'm going to add in my background. So to get that, I'm going to browse out. I'm going to select my main background that we just created. I'm going to go in and I'm going to set, you can see this a little bit better. I'm going to make sure that I choose fit. And then I set my transparency to 0. Okay. You go in and look, these are the settings that you need to have in order to make this work. Okay. Once that's in place, I want to go in and I also want to modify my wallpaper. I really like to use that original image that I had as a wallpaper. And this will actually, uh, go around it. I like to do fit and transparency so that you kind of get the same colors and the same themes all kind of blending together inside your report. Okay. Now, we also know that, okay, so this is in place. I've got this up and running. The last thing I really want to make sure that I do is I want to make sure that um, uh, I have a consistent color based upon the dimensions that I'm going to be visualizing so I can create continuity of the visuals when I'm looking at 'em, right? So if I'm looking at, let's say Coca-Cola, I want Coca-Cola to always have a certain color. If I'm looking at uh, Texaco, I want Texaco to always have a certain color. If I'm looking at Vandalay Industries, I want Vandalay Industries to always have a certain color. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm going to create a custom switch statement that can be used and set as a function to break out and set my colors. Okay, I'm going to hone in on this. So this gives me a fine degree of control so that I can really hone in and control the colors of one of my based upon the bank name in this case, right? So bank name, I'm setting up Guardian Bank, so it's going to be this color, Primary Bank and Reserve, right? This is going to bring a lot of consistency very easily to my report look and feel. Okay. So I'm going to set that stuff up. I'm going to go and I'm going to grab this, and I know this is a new measure that's going to go in my reseller sales. So I'm going to go to factory seller sales, say new measure, and I'm going to paste in this value. Okay. I'm going to hit enter, and now I am good to go. Okay. Here's where we're going to pull that little switcheroo because for whatever reason the theme didn't import for because of the demo gods or not. We'll give it one more shot. Browse, dark theme, open.
The demo gods do not like the data gods.
Yeah, there's a fight going on. Yeah, shocking. Shocking. Oh. There are no actually hang on. I see what I did wrong. I was taking it from a report that. Holy crap! Okay, so if you do that right, you don't even need a theme if you're using that image or that custom font all the time. So actually, this one, this I put the theme in. So we'll go in and we'll do that exact same thing. It was working. I just screwed it up. So we're going to overwrite my dark theme. Yes. Go to import, browse for themes, dark theme, open. Got it. And now if I look at my customized current theme, it's the colors that I had selected. Okay. That's fantastic. Okay. So last thing we want to do here, boy, love troubleshooting while I'm doing work. So that's always fun. But you can see like the this has changed and other things have changed about it. Please note, if I find something that doesn't look right in here and I want to make a change to it, you can go in and you can customize that, whatever it is, you can make changes to it and then save that back out. Okay. So that's something I will do as I'm doing this stuff. Okay. Now, now that we've got this together, we've got this palette ready. Okay, we've got our background, we've got our colors, we've got everything. We are ready to go. But wait, let's talk about what we're going to come back to next. Okay, so we want to make sure that we set the canvas size, we did it. We set the background, we set the wallpaper, we set fit to width. Oh, did we do fit to width? See, that's why it's good to have a checklist. Aha. Big thing here is make sure you enable fit to width so that you, as you're building it or anyone's working on this or looking at this, they see the max amount of page that they have the ability to see, right? So they completely see this space. All right, that's very important. Versus actual size or fit to page, fit to width makes that much more accessible. All right. Um, just okay, just PowerBI theme, great color breakout, right? Awesome. Okay, everything's here. We're good to go. Now, before we go and start to actually build our report, we want to make sure that we kind of sketch out how this is going to work and function. Okay, because we want to make sure that we're hitting on all of the things that we want inside of our report. Please do see I've got a great YouTube video on like sketching and laying out and doing Power BI design. Kevin actually helped put that together. It's absolutely fabulous. Do check that out for a more detailed version of this. But at a bare minimum, I really like to lay out these types of groupings and areas, right? I like to have regions based upon certain themes. I like to be able to like have topics that exist inside my themes, and then I also like to understand if I'm going to have any I call paths to insights, and that could be a navigation, that could be a drill through, whatever functionality that we're going to have. Let's try and keep this light and simple, as well as keep them on one page because they didn't want to go to multiple pages. So this was the layout that I kind of came up with. Um, when you do a layout, the as you want it to be as simple as it possibly can, um, so that it's easy for people to context switch from one thing to the next. All right, this is already going to be incredibly complex. There's going to be lots of things that are going on. You want this to be super easy for them. Okay. And it is 6:33, and I'm at the sketch point. I'd like to point that out. So, wait till you see what's about to happen next minute. Okay. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to add in visuals. We're going to be looking at how we can leverage. Oh, this was supposed to get cut out of here. We're going to be looking at adding in visuals. We're going to be making sure that we use colors to set like functions and breakouts. And we want to do things to like enhance that to bring it to life and stuff like that. But most importantly, though, the first thing we're really going to get into is right away. Once you get to this point and you're ready to start publishing your top line KPIs, I want you to create those KPIs inside of your report. And I want you to publish it right away and create a metrics app off of that. And I'm going to show that to you really quickly here. Oh, actually, what do I mean by that? Okay. So inside my report, I am going to have factory reseller sales, the measures that are most important to me that we're going to be highlighting on this report are sales amount. Come on, sales amount, order quantity. Well, and it's order quantity, amount shipped, unit price, and a tax amount. Okay. Now, in order to get this working right, I want to make sure that I am. That's my blank. All right. Well, we're not going to continue to. We're not going to troubleshoot that, but we're going to. I don't have time for that. We're going to quickly flip over to the other report that is all set up. Oops, not this one. X this one. Ah, here we go. I don't know why this would give me no value. Have filters in place? Oh, okay. Doesn't matter. All right. So we're going to create a new page. Again, set this stuff up. Gosh, sorry about that. 1440. 60. Okay. Yep.
You had it flipped, right? You had it 2560
Oh.
tall, 1440 wide.
Yep. You're right. That's why that wasn't looking right. I'm like, something's wrong here. Fit 0. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And then background, because we already did that. Fit. There we go. Okay. And fit the width. Now, the values I care most about, and boy, if this doesn't turn results, I'm going to be less than thrilled, is on reseller sales, we're talking about reseller sales amount. I want to start to create my KPIs. I'm going to line up along here. To do that, I'm going to get one that is formatted exactly the way I want it to, right? So in this case, I'm going to hop over to my format. I'm going to set my call out value. The color I want to be my purple. Same thing with my category label. I want it to be this. We're going to make it the brighter purple there, right? And then I want to make sure that my background is off. And there we go. Once I kind of get that to be right, and I've got a good position here, and I'm going to create a bigger space for it. I'm going to show you why in just a second. I'm going to then create these for each of the measures that are important that we're going to be talking about, right? I've got the 5 measures, and then I'm going to rotate those in. All right, so we've got sales amount, order quantity, amount shipped, amount shipped, come on, unit price, and tax amount. All right, once these are in place, I would normally go through and I would rename these so I can take out things that are not important, right? Anything visual has to have as concise of a name as possible. And then the second I get done with this, I want to make sure I know what workspace that this metric and this report is going to get published into. And then I want to publish that out there as soon as I can. And then I'm going to go out into their report and I'm going to pin all of these values into a metric app. And let me show it to you really quick. Okay. So I'm going to go into my reports workspace where this report has been pinned. Then I'm going to go into my scorecard and make sure that these have been pinned and I've got an item out there for each one. Once that's done, the reason I want to make sure that these are in place, I'm going to come back to the Power BI space. And first thing first, I'm going to make sure that these values are all, come on now. I want to make sure that they're all formatted. So align top, distribute horizontally so that they've got these all in good spacing here, right? Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to create a metrics visual. I'm going to add a metrics onto here, and I'm going to do the single metrics here. All right. So I'm going to, and when I do that, I want to use one that's already established. The reason I want to do that is because this, you'll start your metrics app to start doing a recording that snapshot as early as possible so that your executives can go out and see what that value is, and they'll start to see a trend on here. Okay, now I'm not sure exactly why my trend is not working right now because it's refreshing, but this will start to trend for you. Okay, you want to minimize this, but this gives you lots of capabilities here to see, like, oh, hey, within that report itself, they can go and see trends, they can see commentary around it, and they can actually understand what's going on with a given metric. Okay. But I'm going to go through and add that in for each one of these. I'm going to add that in place. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bookmark for each one that allows me to toggle between um, uh, actually having the metrics lit up and available and having the KPIs lit up. Easiest way to probably do that is to group these. So we're going to create a group. And on the visibility pane, I'm going to turn on selection. This is group one. This is my KPIs. Right. And then please note, you do have to continue. You have to like actually create all 5 of these. Let's see if I can do this quickly. Well, we'll just kind of take placeholders and place them in here. And then I would group these together. Right. Right click, group, undo. I don't know why that does that. That happened on Saturday too. When you group metrics, for some reason, one jumps to the top and you have to ungroup and then regroup it. But what this allows you to do is easily flip these on and off and rotate and create bookmarks accordingly. Okay. So what you can do then is you can create a button that allows your user to toggle back and forth between seeing the KPIs and seeing the metrics. I'll quick show it to you here. So I've got a button right here that allows me to pull up and see these metrics as they load. Right, so you can see where they're at, where we have where we have comments, all that good stuff, right? But now I can toggle back and forth between having these available, and so your leaders can put comments in on it. They can tag people. This could be something that's truly functional. Okay. All right, let's keep going. All right, we're going to presume that I have done that, and we've just hidden that, so that's why you can't see that there. Next thing I'm going to do is I want to have that reseller sales amount. I want to track this over time, but we're going to be breaking that out by the by that value, that the dim reseller, that bank name. Okay, actually, that's going to be my small multiple. Is that bank name? Because I want to actually see it a whole bunch of times. What the heck is going on here? Bank name, all multiples. There we go. And then to kind of make things consistent and look or to kind of give a good feel to it, I'm going to separate them out by year and month. So I'm going to go to my date dimension. Date, year, month. All right, so this is going to be my x-axis. Now, you can see this and you say to yourself, but hey, Chris, those don't look different. What's going on here? Ha ha ha. that's where we can apply some formatting on our columns. Okay, so instead of it being a default value, I can hit my function and I can go to choose it from a field value. Now there's a field value that measure I created that I put on factory seller sales. Go and select that. Okay. Now they all have the proper formatting. I want to make sure that I don't have 2 rows, but I have 4 columns, and then that I turn off the background. And so now that's all in play. I can continue to futz with this, making sure that the colors line up and that everything looks right. But now this is starting to take shape. Okay. Yeah, and I would pretty much futz with it until I got this value here. So we're just going to copy and paste this over just so that we have some consistency in the look and feel. And I've got this in place. Okay, hey, well and good. This looks great, but you're saying this is all pretty basic stuff, right? I want to do something more. I want to actually leverage those advanced capabilities that we were talking about. There's a whole bunch of capabilities that are out there that we're not taking advantage of, right? And I say that is 100% spot on, right? We want to start to expose people to new ways at looking at that information. Okay. So what we're going to be doing in our insights section that we lined up as that middle area, and we want that to be the middle area before we go into the details. The reason being, number one, so that people have a pause, a reason to stop, so they can hopefully find something that's insightful and useful for them. Okay. Um, this is something that is. I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat there. Aman, you haven't seen metrics before?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of things actually. If you want to
Okay.
go there from it.
All right.
So just if you don't mind, so it will essentially log on a daily or refresh all the values that it refreshes to over some period of time.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
in this
God.
case, sales, I have here, let's go in and edit. I can go look at edit. It isn't editing. This is interesting. Slightly different in how it works. So but let's create a new one.
And metrics are
okay.
a scorecard is what you call something that holds metrics.
Correct.
Okay.
This is a scorecard. You can add this. You have 2 options when it comes to adding a scorecard to a report page. You can add an individual metric like I was showing you there, or you can add an entire scorecard. Okay. So I can add metrics as a list. So I can browse, select this one, and now I have the entire list of metrics that are available for me. So inside of a report, that entire scorecard can be made available, or you can showcase a singular metric. Okay. Right. Like how I was showing you before, how you can just show the one. Okay. Now, this can be incredibly useful because, like, for example, one of the things that I have a scorecard on, and I don't think you can switch it once you've created it, so I'm going to delete this just for now. One of the scorecards I have, and I absolutely love, I use this all over the place, is I have a data quality. I think it's right here. I have a data quality scorecard that tracks the quality of my data and quality of my measures across time. And anytime you see a variance, and i.e. anything of value that comes through and it's not just a 0, this tells me that I have an issue in a load and that I need to go in and fix it. And it allows me to actually go out and say, hey, PowerBI Luchador, go out there and fix this load issue, right? It's very, very helpful. But that's an entirely different presentation. So,
But thank you for taking that little detour. That's tremendous.
sure, yeah, happy to. All right, so as we start to go in here, what we're going to do is we're going to start to combine some things. So I'm going to take this visual here, and it's got a lot of the formatting in that I like. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to look for. I read someplace that the scatter chart was considered one of the most powerful visuals available for people to understand what's happening with data. So, and not enough people use it. So I'm going to add this in. I'm going to enrich this by adding in some of my other KPIs that are part of, like our key items. So we want to have our order quantity, right? So we're going to use that as our y-axis. And then we're going to use our unit price as our size. So we can start to see some of the information here. This looks good, but it's a little busy. So in order to kind of give it a some sort of like give it some motion and give it so I can understand the trends in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my date dim, and I'm going to take my fiscal year and I'm going to add that into my play axis. Okay. What that allows me to do is see this group of people over time, and I can actually watch how they work and operate as they're going through time. Okay. So in this case, I can. Is that not doing it? Play? Am I just not grabbing the right people here? Huh. Oh, aha, I know why. Because I have year and month here. I need to have this broken out better. So my values here shouldn't be just year and month. My values should be on my actual resellers. So I want to track my resellers performance. So I'm going to add my reseller name. And then I'm going to actually make that as a drill path. Oops. That. I've got my reseller name right here. Now, I can select one of my resellers, and I can actually see how their performance worked over time, right? You can kind of see it as one goes. Now, this is a little hard to like hone in on someone, so I want to give my I want to give my users some ability to interact with this and find some information that's useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this again, copy paste, cheat wherever possible, right? And instead of having small multiples, we're going to be using bank name, and we're going to be switching up like yeah, so that we get our values like this. And now I've got a grouping so I can kind of filter in and hone in on customers, and I can really see how they're operating and working. Okay. So get some visual cues to drill in and operate on. But this is kind of good, but I really want to give more insights into this. I want this to be the banks are good, but it's the resellers who actually sell the stuff. So let's take that reseller name and add that as a drill path into here. So we can kind of see like, okay, hey, here's United Security or International. We can kind of track these over time, and we can actually do some of that interaction and see how they work together. Now, in this case, I don't like I don't want to just highlight. I want to actually I want to filter. So I'm going to change that functionality. So I'm going to change my formatting and edit interactions from highlighting. I want to change it to filtering. Oopsies. I'll change that over to filtering. Now, if I click on International Bank, it makes the appropriate adjustments. Looks like those colors weren't changing right. So, oh, well, no, that is right. Okay, well, good. All right, so we've got that in place. This is working. This all looks great. I want to use this as outliers, so I'm going to call this as outliers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these together, and I'm going to proceed to go through, and I'm going to, because we are getting late here, I'm going to proceed to go through and I'm going to edit and create the different visuals that I want people to use with a similar look and feel on the side so that they can navigate it, right? So I want them to see the key influencers and understand what's driving their business. I want to give them an example of the root cause analysis so they can really understand what's going on, and dig to what could be causing changes or shifts inside their organization. And then I want to talk about things like this top and bottom analysis. So I'm going to actually hone in on this. So you can kind of see this a little better. So inside of this cost analysis, I want to line people up who are really good. So these are, if we look at this visual, I actually have my top 10 resellers uh, by sales, and I have them lined up against my bottom resellers, right? So, and if these are salespeople or whatever, I'd look to partner these up as coaching opportunities for how these top performers could help influence my bottom performance, right? So that we can hopefully make these people over here become more like the people on the other side of the page, okay? Now, I needed to come up with a little phraseology in there. I am not one who is, I'm not one who is exceedingly elegant and when it comes to um, uh, uh, writing things. So that's where I turned to Chat GPT. Chat GPT, I said, okay, hey, write 3 sentences on the value of coaching and sales. Chat GPT came up with these 3 sentences. I kind of reviewed them, found the one that was most appropriate, and I added that into my report. This information here, this type of insights can really help people hone in on why these things matter and why they should be looking at them. Okay. And why not turn to using tools like ChatGPT to help you with that? Okay. And then the very last thing I put at the absolute bottom of my report um, was, am I just seeing? The last thing I put down at the bottom of my report is that detailed grid that they were asking for. That they said, okay, hey, we need to see this stuff. It's got to be super detailed. I need to be able to export it. So okay, fine, it's there, but it's only available and after they see all of this other information, do they come down and have access to this? All right. I always try to include on a visual pane if we're doing a big, large grid that's just for exporting and it's not for interaction. This is the one time I like to put slicers on a page. Otherwise, I try hard to allow the visuals to create the navigation and filtering, and then just have your filters on the side. But in this type of situation, I think it's a best practice to have those visuals on the screen to help for that navigation. Okay. Now, when we do this, oh, and then last thing, I added in a smart narrative up at the top to give some people some insights as to what's going on inside of the report that maybe they're not, they don't understand what's valuable. These narratives can help bring people in and draw them in to understand what's going on in the data where visuals sometimes don't. Now, while I did create this and I shared this with the executives, at the same time, I also showed them this experience where I kind of took what we had done above, but I made them into single pages with a page navigation inside of it so that instead of having just one page that they were interacting with, that they had this experience that they could go through and they could kind of see like, okay, hey, is this easier to work with? Or is it easier to go onto a page like this, go to tops and bottoms and interact with it? Now, at the end of the day, the executives, of course, wanted both. So they went with a big display that was like this for up on those monitors. But then they ended up, the distribution and telemetry showed that when it came to actual usage and who went in and did what, they all interacted with uh, the the page size views. So uh, I guess that kind of comes down to you always want to give executives and the people what they're looking for, but you also want to be a very a prudent designer and developer. And if you maybe you know better than they do and you know a better design, do feel free, like put it out there, mock it up, show it to them, because maybe they'll end up liking it better. Okay. Yeah, we covered that. I did cover the show, the breakouts. Okay, oh gosh, it is 7 o'clock. I breezed through so much of that stuff so fast. I'm terribly sorry. But if you want to see more, or you want to hear about how you can create custom visuals, join me tomorrow at noon Central Time. Ben Ferry, I don't know if you know him. Ben is amazing. He is a data god at creating custom visuals with Deneb. He's just absolutely amazing. If you actually want to watch hands-on, going through and building out every little thing, walking through the actual build out of everything in that report, head over to my live stream. I've got it recorded out there. You can go out there and you can rewatch it. It's 2 hours and 43 minutes, but we don't want to hold you to that. So hopefully that got you to the ending there. All right.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. You're welcome to go along, right? We kind of started in a little bit too, but it's
okay.
I know a couple people. I don't know if there's anybody has questions for Chris. Everybody's been pretty quiet this whole time. I always love, the presentations or the reports that you come out with, right? This idea of taking those pictures from nature and working with the colors that nature goes with. To me, that's just brilliant. What Anybody want to come off mute and ask or give comments back, feedback to Chris? Don't make me just call on Alman because I know he'll speak.
I did go really fast, so there were a lot of stuff I was humming.
And I should have mentioned you could have gone long earlier on, but
But I mean, first I'll just say, Chris, that it was like a ride. I felt like I was just like going up and down and around corners, the loop to loops. I mean, like we were all over. We did. I mean, you took us through just a tour, a fantastic tour. It's just design. I don't know how many people feel this way, where I feel like design is a foreign thing for me, and
Yeah.
you did a great job of showing how you could take the website and you can build off that. It's still something you invest time in with each report. I guess it looks like you get pretty quick at it. I mean, but it's something that takes some time in addition to creating the measures and shaping the data and building the visuals.
Yeah, and honestly, I would try to, inside your organization or your team, as much as possible, have one theme and have one design and use it over and over again. You do not want to have every single report you look at look as dramatically different as this report did. That throws users off entirely. Okay. Like having a report that looks like this if it's different than what you have, that really should be the exception. It should not be the norm. Go through this one time, run through, create these things out, lay it out, come up with the colors, find a good layout and design, and then run with that from there on out. Okay. But
Gotcha.
yeah, spend a little time on that. But you're right. If you try to do it every single report, number one, it's a huge time sink. Number two, you're going to throw your users off. So don't do that. All right. Drive for consistency. Make it easy for people to work with your stuff. Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
and I think your point, right, is the more you do it the right way, the faster you get at it, right? I mean, Chris has obviously done this many times before, right? But on your next report, just kind of challenge yourself to do one or two of the things that he showed to you, and then you kind of get that down. Then do one or two next, and then all of a sudden, in an hour, you're able to put together. You'll be doing the presentation back to him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really true. And another thing that I did not cover that I probably should have is I strive really hard to get to the point where we have our insights that are actionable and that people can actually do things with, right? So that was one of the things that I didn't cover in that report because it wasn't. Well, actually, it kind of was. A lot of times, I like to create experiences that navigate people to other resources that can help them do their job. In this
Yeah,
case, what's
we're
that?
not. I was saying whatever ship that was, we weren't seeing everything in the
Oh,
frame.
okay. Um, sorry. It's kind
That's
of a
all right.
goofy thing. In this case, the interaction that we actually had to get people to do stuff,
Here,
we're
that works.
commenting in on those KPIs, right? Um, providing that means of having that feedback for people to see what's going on with those goals, right? To be able to see what feedback people have. I mean, this right here, frankly, to me, is a huge game changer. When you can go in and see the status of goals, see that people have comments that you haven't seen before, you haven't reviewed, and that you could go in and click on it and then actually interact with that goal is, frankly, I mean, you look at like Power On, Acteris, Info River. One of the big things, oh, of course, now it's not working, but um, one of the big things that those reports do is they have the whatever. They have that ability to do right back and put comments in. Well, now you have the ability to put that in. It doesn't cost you anything extra. These are not premium features like they once were. So it's something that anyone can add into their reports. I swear these visuals should be part of every Power BI dashboard, and you should have this toggle in that goes from a summary KPI to a metric that people can see the trends on and see feedback on. That should just be a standard. Frankly, I wish the measure just did it, but that's asking too much today. Awesome.
All right, great.
Has anyone worked with show of hands? Has anyone worked with metrics before? I know Amon said he hadn't seen them before. Is that
Yeah, I have.
yeah?
I raised my hand. I'll put it back down.
All right. Okay. Do check them out. I swear it's the most powerful feature in the Power BI service that no one's using.
I love them. Right. The one thing that I love about it is kind of I don't know that yours has been out there long enough, right? But I tend to think about people want some stuff around trending, right? What was that number X number of days ago, right? And you could do things in the back end with data engineering to start capturing those type of things. Or if you want to get it in quickly, build a metric, right? And he'll capture it for you. If that's all you need is what that data point was each time it got captured, daily, monthly, whatever. You're not having to do all this data engineering in the background to store that information. You're just
Does
getting
Yeah.
that,
it in that. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry, I
Evan.
was just going to ask, does that feed into alerts? Like, I mean, I hack
Mm-hmm.
something with an alert to try and get something on a change, and I I don't even remember all the pieces involved. But like, do I understand right? Like, so if this thing, like you showed us a data quality
Mm-hmm.
metric, Chris, and you could set a threshold. I think that's how alerts work, right? Like
Yep.
if you cross some threshold, it emails somebody,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You can set up so it pushes an alert to you and lets you know if there's an issue. And I don't know why this stopped on August 17th. Like these were tracking, but yeah, that's exactly right, and that's why I do in several places to get that functioning up and running. So
Looks like you need an alert that tells you when it has stopped.
right, right.
So,
You know,
Jack, you raised,
professional environment is a little different than my demo environment, right?
yeah,
But yeah.
Jack, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Chris, with the changes that, we've kind of seen hinted at by Miguel Myers,
Hmm.
how much do you think your whole process is going to change? And are you going to have to, modify this, or is it going to make it easier?
Well, that's a real good question. I think it's going to have to evolve over time as the changes that Miguel is describing are going to roll out. And uh, I I've I've worked with product teams, product management teams long enough to understand and appreciate that there's going to be a difference between the conceptual dream items that they like lay out and say, hey, we're going to do things like this, and then the slow trickle of features that actually make it out into production. Like that dream state is something that is going to, like, they're working towards, like on that castle on that hill. I don't know how long it's going to take before we get there, right? Like some of the things are going to be small and incremental changes are going to be useful and they're going to be helpful. But I don't know if a year from now we're going to be like, oh, it's a night and day difference here, right? Um, Especially because a lot of those features that Miguel is talking about are so transformational in how we look at and use visuals, uh, that while I have a high degree of confidence and faith that we will get there, I'm not sure how long that's going to be. Because other things like that have taken um, longer than we would have thought or liked. Right. For example, at one point in time, I can remember sitting down with like some of the engineering and product leads and running through the value of composite models and all of the things necessary to make a composite model work and function, and how and like all of the like kind of like functionality and milestones. And at one point in time I heard something like there were 87 features that had to be delivered in order for that composite models to come out, and it took like 3.5 years for that to come out. Came out and it's great. I mean, it's good, but it still has some performance issues and whatnot, but it's something good that's out there. I look at what Miguel is doing, again, as like an awesome thing that we're going to have in the future. Until we get there, though, we're going to use. I'm going to continue to use things like this and evolve as his functionality comes in. That makes
Chris,
sense.
Yeah, I just, you see that stuff and you kind of go, well, is it coming soon? Should I wait or or just continue on? But I
Don't
think
wait.
your
Yeah,
comments were spot on.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was in Atlanta the other weekend and Alex Powers was presenting, he said this line 2 or 3 times. The P in Power BI stands for patience.
Yep.
If you think of all of the things, like he said, just, the number of features they have to deliver to change something and make sure it doesn't break anything that they've said it's backwards compatible with. It's a big engineering project. So
Yeah, and I think it's the backward compatibility that can be really the hardest piece of that, and why some of these things take longer than
mhm.
others, right?
Yep. Haman, you got another statement, comment, question?
yeah, it's a really minor stupid thing. But like I'm looking at your Power BI desktop that you're sharing, Chris, and
Hmm.
what is the I'm so sorry. There's two map visuals, and then there's something before you get to the dial, the scorecard dial. It's like that one.
Azure
Azure.
Map.
So is that a preview feature you have enabled
Yep.
or something?
Yep.
Okay.
Options, preview features. I
Okay.
think uh I pretty much. Oh no. Oh, well, actually, that's good. Uh, so at some point in time, I had the Power BI desktop and infrastructure and web page connector update happen. So, yay. Um,
Okay.
these have caused crashing problems in the past, so I'm a little shocked to see those on. But at least they're not crashing now. Maybe we could start using them. But yeah,
Yeah.
I turn on almost all of that stuff. The Azure Map visual or
Okay.
Shape Map visual.
And then
Feel
the
bad for
metrics.
that guy.
I see metrics is there. So that's the one you were showing us. So
Yep.
that's a preview feature. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool.
That may be why, if you haven't seen it before, it's there. I mean, it is in the service. It's predominantly listed in the service, but like that doesn't mean jack, right? Like predominantly listed in the service in Power BI is like there's so much stuff in here that um it's really easy to overlook this, right? But Yeah. I mean, honestly, running through this and checking out the different scorecards that are out there, right? Like, it's, uh, do I have any?
Well, I
Oh,
just don't think it was,
yeah,
if I would have clicked on it, I don't think it was obvious. It was not obvious to me that it is doing the logging and the recording, because
right.
that's a totally different thing than anything else. Anything else, I have to manage the data, right? I have to timestamp it and I have to log it, and that it's doing that. It's like that that blows my head open.
So that's why I call it the most powerful feature that nobody's using, because here's my scorecard, right? It's out there. It's taking snapshots of my data. But look at this son bitch. This is the data set that supports that scorecard. I can create a report on this data set. So if you have the need to establish or track a KPI and see what that snapshot values are, you can go through the engineering effort to like engineer on the back end. And by, listen to Matthew Roach, that's the best way to do that. But you can start to snapshot those things and put those into a data set and then build a report off of that data set that's feeding that report or feeding that scorecard.
That's tremendous. You said that this is no longer a premium feature, it's available to all of us.
Yep.
But there's got to be
It's
some limit. I mean, it's a click and create kind of thing. So I couldn't create 2,000 of these metrics because I have to like click and do it. So that's kind of a self-limiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So there's some self-limiting there. Like if it needs to be big, you should engineer it, right? But other than that, though, like I mean, if you like I said, if you're talking about a general report where you've got your KPIs that you're measuring, I mean, for the most part, you're probably like 5 is actually a lot on a report, right? You're generally speaking, context switching, you don't do a lot more than that. Maybe you have some like ancillary KPIs that come along with it, but really the focus is on a handful of KPIs. Start snapshotting those. And you saw I can reference that snapshot over and over again from different reports. Um, but do note that when you're in your snapshot, you can open the visual or oh, that's what it is. Or move the report or something. Okay. Um, interesting. It will drill you through to the report that was snapshotted from. And so you wanted to have you want that summary to be in the scorecard, right? The summary view here, like, okay, what it is. You want that target report you're pulling from to tell the story of that sales amount. So someone who needs more information than what we have here can drill to that report and get that story. Right.
Yeah. Well, just on that note, so you have a sort of a kiosk version, which is the one page, the tall, thin one page that was the initial ask. And that's in, you said monitors like that they have mounted in the building.
Yep.
So it's not interactive. Those are like mounted on a wall somewhere. People can come up to it and interact. So then how does this work with the different 4 different views at the bottom?
So someone came up with a little thing that actually moves between them. I forget exactly how they did it. And
Oh,
so
so it rotates it. So on the
yeah.
display, it's actually rotating through the views. Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
That's great.
There's like a play axis or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's embedded in an app, so it's entirely possible that they have some wet. I don't remember exactly what they did, but like, yeah, they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff for this stupid thing. So, and that's okay, right? Great. Um, let them do that. Right? But yeah, be mindful of it. Give them what they want, but like I said, all of the executives, while they claim they're going to use that thing, they use this, to navigate and go through what's available to them, right? All their details. And I am happy though. The details tab is not getting as much hits, and they're not exporting it. Like the number of people who export from details has dropped dramatically. At least the last time I looked, I mean, it was down like 95% from the start. So at first, everyone, all they did was download the details, and now that activity is now an outlier. They are using the analytics and the insights inside of the report to actually influence how they do business. So that's awesome.
Does the standard usage metrics tell you that they're not exporting? Where do you get that
You
info
have
from?
to hook that up to log analytics, and
Okay.
you have to have some pretty sophisticated KQL data pulls from that. But you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Chris, if you haven't already done so, I would love for you to do a deep dive on metrics and do a video on that.
Oh, well, you guys are in luck. Oh, well, actually, no, you're not. Sorry. I was going to
Actually,
say,
I think we had Treb do it for our group, and it might
Oh.
be out on our
if you
YouTube
have
channel.
Trebs is, I like Trebs. Trebs is more, watch Trebs demo. I am speaking, if you're near Madison next week on Tuesday, I am doing a deep dive into Power BI metrics. It will be on functional use cases like this on Power BI metrics. Some of the stuff we talked through, how you set that up, how you configure it, get up and running. That's not broadcast online though. At least it's not intended to right now. So it's just live in person. Treb's functionality though is he goes much more through all of the functionality and like the blocking and tackling stuff. So if you're getting started, his is a great video to watch. In fact, I kind of didn't add in some of the stuff because he covered it as so well. I didn't feel like I needed to. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to cover my like use case and how I use it versus like all of the details like Treb has.
So, and I'm probably going to cut this on the video when I upload it, but Trebs is not on our YouTube channel because that's when we had somebody in the chat that was putting bad images into the chat and we couldn't stop them. We didn't want it on the recording.
Just edit that out.
It was through the whole thing.
Where was I
there.
that month? Man, I missed a party, huh? Damn.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.